Let's talk. Welcome back. I'm really glad you're here today. You know, there's something about being in a relationship, whether as a husband, a wife, a partner, or someone in love, that brings out the most beautiful parts of who we are, and sometimes the most misunderstood. And I want to talk about that today, because I've been thinking a lot lately, not just about love or sacrifice, but about how easy it is to be misunderstood, even when your intentions are pure, even when you love deeply, even when you're trying your absolute best. Sometimes you do something for someone out of love, and instead of it being seen as love, it gets interpreted as control. You're trying to plan for the future, to save for something bigger, and it gets taken as you being cheap or boring. Or you take on more work, skip a few date nights, try to build something better for both of you. And she feels like you're growing distant, like she's no longer the priority. And I'm not saying she's wrong, because from her lens, from her emotional world, maybe she is missing you. But from your lens, this is the very contradiction of love. Two people giving what they believe is their best, but neither feeling fully seen. Not because they're not trying, but because they're not sharing the same understanding. Let me start with this story. There was a time when I was working a lot, trying to move up in my career, trying to prove my worth, trying to become the kind of man my wife could be proud of. And every night I'd come home later than usual, still thoughtful, still caring, still showing up, but tired. And I noticed something changing, not in my love for her, but in her energy. She didn't smile as much when I walked in. She wasn't as warm. It was subtle, but it was there. And so I asked her one night, gently, "Have I done something wrong?" And she said something I'll never forget. "I know you're doing this for us, but I don't feel like I'm part of the us you're building anymore." That hit me hard, because in my mind, I was building for her, but in her heart, I was building away from her. That's when I realized something important. Love without invitation leads to isolation. I was doing everything I thought a good man should do, but I forgot to bring her in, to update her, to involve her in the struggle, not just the goal. And that goes both ways. How many times do we see our partners busy, tired, overworked, and we say, they're okay, they're just busy. But deep down, they're quietly resenting the fact that we didn't ask, that we didn't help, that we weren't included. Misunderstanding isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's invisible. Sometimes it's in all the things we assume instead of the things we ask. A man might assume his sacrifice is obvious. A woman might assume her emotions are known. But here's a truth I've learned through experience. Even the strongest love will starve if it's not fed with understanding. And understanding doesn't just mean guessing. It means communicating. It means slowing down long enough to say, hey, I want you to know where my heart is right now, and I'd love to know where yours is too. Now let's go a little deeper. In many relationships, especially in marriage, each person sacrifices something. A man might sacrifice his time, his peace, his hobbies to provide, to protect, to lead. A woman might sacrifice her career progression, her body, her rest, to nurture, to hold, to support. And both are beautiful. But here's where things often go wrong. We don't see each other's sacrifices clearly because we're not walking in each other's world enough to understand what it cost. That's why being present matters. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Because if you're not in the loop of someone's daily effort, you can't appreciate it. And if you're not appreciated, resentment eventually grows. I'll be honest with you. It's easy to say, well, if they love me, they should know. But here's a better question. Are you giving them the tools to know? Are you letting them in? Are you showing them what you carry? And when they do show you what they carry, are you listening? Or are you waiting for your turn to be heard? There's a Vietnamese proverb that says, Vợ chồng như đũa có đôi, lúc lệch lúc đều. Husband and wife are like a pair of chopsticks, sometimes uneven, sometimes aligned. The goal is not perfection. The goal is movement toward each other. When one sacrifices, the other doesn't need to match it equally, but to recognize it, to support it, to balance it with care. And if the sacrifice becomes too heavy, it should never be hidden. It should be spoken, because unspoken effort turns into unseen pain, and unseen pain turns into distance. So here's something I'm still learning. If I want my wife to understand my sacrifices, I need to explain them without sounding like I'm keeping score. If she wants me to value her emotional labor, she needs to let me into the emotions, not expect me to read her silence like a book I've never been taught to read. And together, we need to see each other as teammates, not testers. Because love is not a test, it's a collaboration. It's two people learning how to walk side by side, even when the road changes. Let me say something especially for the women listening. I know many of you feel like your sacrifices go unseen, that you carry the emotional weight of the relationship, that you give, and sometimes it doesn't feel like it's noticed. I hear that. I see that. And on behalf of the men who are trying, but maybe not expressing it well, I want to say, we're learning, and we want to understand you, not just love you. But we need your help too. Don't shut us out. Don't do everything alone. We want to be part of the things that matter to you. Even if we don't understand them at first, let us try. Let us fail. Let us fumble. Let us figure it out with you. And to the men listening, don't assume your work speaks for itself. Your love isn't just in what you do, it's in what you share. Let her see the weight you're carrying. Not to guilt her, but to include her. Because when she sees your process, she'll better understand your pride. And when you witness her sacrifices, you'll love her in a deeper way than any words can explain. So here's what I'll leave you with today. A relationship built on love alone will struggle. But a relationship built on shared understanding, on bringing each other in, on slowing down enough to connect, explain, involve, that's a relationship that grows. Because the truth is, it's easy to do great things alone, but it's even greater when you do them together. Thank you for listening today, for opening your heart, for being willing to understand love not just from your lens, but through the eyes of someone else. If something in this episode spoke to you, send it to someone you care about, or talk about it together. Because most of the time, the problems in relationships aren't from a lack of love. They're from a lack of understanding. So let's change that. Let's keep learning how to love each other better, more clearly, more gently, more completely. Because as long as you're on this journey, I'm with you.